Happy Sunday morning. Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook. We got Coach Dub. We're here with our normal Sunday post-game reaction. Let it marinate, get some thoughts out there, get some takes out there. But we appreciate y'all joining. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on podcast, go ahead and give us a rating and review, a positive one. And of course, head to InsideTexas.com. We got promos running. Now is the time to join as we get close to the stretch run of the season. And Charlie, they are heading into the second bye week of the year. And you posted earlier this morning on Inside Texas, what did we learn from this game? I know there's going to be a lot of focus on quarterback, especially with 2 turnovers and 14 Vanderbilt points off those turnovers. But, Quinn and everything else, what do you think we learned from Saturday's game?
I think that we got some mental toughness to overcome a loss versus Georgia and all the things that happened in the game versus Vanderbilt. We found a way to overcome them. And sometimes those are hard, especially on the road. It may not feel like a road game with all the burnt orange in the stands, but this team had to overcome a lot mentally. Some holding calls, some that were not holding calls. Just a lot of things that could have went the other way. In years past, maybe that team crumbles and loses. This team found a way to win. And so I was glad to just see some mental toughness and resilience to fight back and find a way to win the game.
Yeah, we have seen Sark and his program over the past couple of years, play some ugly games, but still pull it out. 10 penalties to me indicates ugly game. And some of them were not deserved. I feel like I don't know how you can get a holding penalty on split zone when the guy turns his back to him. Kind of going through the penalties. One of them was they called it on Muhammad, but it was obviously on Michael Taggart.
Yeah.
The holding. Here's the thing. The holding on Kelvin Banks, I think, was properly flagged. He tripped the guy.
Right, yeah.
And maybe it's not holding, but you can't do that. So I think that was properly called, but a lot of them seem pretty tic-tac. But still, if Texas, you can't put the official in position to reach for that yellow handkerchief.
Yeah, that part. And then I saw the one on Gunnar Helm, which Gunnar Helm does everything right. So they never should call a penalty on him. But I thought maybe the running back bounced outside and should have ran inside. It didn't look like a hold to me, but I was like, really? That was really ticky-tacky, man. What are we doing here? Y'all trying to keep – I don't know. You want TV ratings or something? You trying to keep the game close? I was like – because some of those, like you said, some of those calls really didn't make sense.
And the thing is, that sets up long third downs. In Texas, here I think is a very telling stat and part of why Texas, still won. They had 15 third down attempts. It's a lot. They were 9 for 15. That's pretty quality. And that was going 9 for 15 with an average yards to go of 7.6, which is, Stark has talked a lot about that over the course of the past few weeks that, getting into third and manageable is where they want to be. Third and 7.6 is not third and manageable. And they were able to make that go. Let's kind of take it off go with what everybody really wants to talk about, and that's Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
We were just talking before we started that Quinn Ewers has not had a 300-yard game since the Sugar Bowl. And, granted, shape of games can dictate that. He had 288 last night, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 27 for 37. He completed – how many straight did he complete? 17, just a couple off his record. But what we've been talking about kind of in our Inside Texas group text is his average depth of target is remarkably low.
Yeah. And really looking at it, I thought yesterday the game plan was kind of get the ball and space to athletes because, you have superior athletes over Vanderbilt. So you saw a lot of quick screens, and the yards out the catch, which has really been a great thing for Texas this year. The receivers are really able to take, the quick screens or quick hitches and turn it into positive gains and get more yards. But, yeah, man, I think that's been the extension of the run game. So I think Sark has called it more this year because he hasn't been able to run the ball consistently. And so maybe we're just living off the short passes because we're getting a lot of yards out the catch as well from the athletes. So, and I don't know. It's weird because when he first at the freshman, he came in taking nothing but deep shots, right? And it's like, man, what happened? It's like each year it's gotten short game, short game, short game, which I'm okay with. And being a Patriots fan, Tom Brady made a living off of it. But I know people want to see the deep ball and the long ball because that's what sells tickets and gets fans excited. But maybe Sarkis is looking for more efficiency. Maybe that's the reason. I'm just not sure with the short yardage attempts.
Quinn was, let's see, 20 of 24 on passes that were 5 yards or closer. Pretty good. That's what his strength. The thing is, it plays to his strengths. Yeah. And I think we've all admitted that. But when Sark's offense is very much, use play action to get downfield on deep shots, and we're just not converting on those. Well, they got the first Moore touchdown, I think it was.
Yeah, a little slot fade. It was nice.
The slot fade, that was a good pass. Like, what are your thoughts on the interceptions? Like, they were tip passes, but that seems to be a constant with Quinn.
Yeah, I think he has tendency sometimes I kind of sidearm the ball, and it brings the trajectory up and low, and where he releases, it's by his helmet, it's a little low. The first one, I thought the linebacker broke through. He made an amazing play to jump up and get in the passing lanes of the RPO, glance there about the run. So, but the second one on the rollout, you got to kind of throw that in the dirt, or like pump fake, make the guy jump and then move around. Like I haven't yet to see that from him, where he can just like get a guy off his feet and then create another throwing lane for himself. He'll go ahead and just throw it and throw it right into the guy. I think that's just something he can learn from. But I mean, tip balls happen. A lot of teams live off tips and overthrows. It's talked about, it's preached, especially on the defensive side of the ball. It's like, hey, if you can't get there, get your hands up. And so offensive, I think he needs to have a counter to that. Pump fake a guy, move and reset it, and throw it, throw in the second window. But he just goes ahead and throws the ball. And I think, it's a little bit on him, but it's a little bit on like the guys on the other side making a good play at the same time because they're coached and taught to do that.
Yeah, it's for me, it just happens too often. It's not like he's 6'5" and he's 6'3" and he's still kind of 3/4 it, and that's going to happen. And they're not going to change his arm slot mid-season, but at the same time, like, you've got to be able to get the ball past those guys. And usually he's creative with it, but the 2 times he wasn't, cost the Longhorns the possession, and Vanderbilt scored off those. And we were talking about that, like, without those interceptions, way different game, because it was 2 interceptions, and Vanderbilt scored 14 points off those turnovers. Yeah. And you had kind of called it, like, the box score reads like it should have been a lot more in Texas' favor. But the scoreboard says 3-point win that came down to a onside kick. So, and when you turn the ball over, that's what's going to happen. We'll go through some of your questions. Good morning, Joe and Coach. After a rewatch, it seems like Vanderbilt learned some formations against Texas. They played against Georgia. Do you think the offensive line can clean that up going forward after the bye? Something we had Eric Naleen write about was, making sure the team is avoiding tipping things off. Clark Lee's a good defensive coach. I'm trying to think back. I need to give it another thorough rewatch, but I'm trying to think of anything kind of toward this direction. What are your thoughts on this question? Texas enters the bye needing to block better.
Yeah, I think the bye week, you always kind of do some self-scouting and kind of go back and say, okay, what do we need to fix? What are we really good at and what we need to fix? And I think they'll do that. I think Coach Sark and staff are really, really great at self-reflecting and saying, okay, and being honest with themselves, like, hey, we got some things to clean up, right? And then the players accepting that and saying, okay, this is what we need to fix. And I think they talked about it in interviews, like even Michael Taft, like, I need to point out what I did wrong, right? And how can I fix it? So I think some leadership and some accountability on the team to want to fix. But I think the slot protection thing, I've kind of gotten beat a few times. I know Georgia did it, and then Vanderbilt did it yesterday. Slot protection, bringing an extra guy off the edge there. It's like, man, why do we struggle with this, right? But it's just miscommunication. I think those things can be fixed. You've seen it enough. It's on film beating you. I think those things that Coach Kyle Flood can probably fix. I'm sure they can, because they're really, he's been really, really good at fixing and patching holes that they've had before with just little things. And maybe they work on the running game and getting vertical and driving guys too more than so we don't have to run wide zones so much. But I think with tipping plays, I think people learn our tendencies. So now in the bye week, let's find some new things we're good at.
It happens. It's football,
Yeah.
and at the same time, like you can point toward Vanderbilt only having 269 total yards. Texas is able to do the same thing. Like they see tendencies, they're winning those battles. So it goes both ways. Jarrett Johnson brings up a good point. There's a lack of efficacy on special teams. Last year they had a few punts blocked, and now it's really bland. Yeah. There's no. I think you said it exactly right. Although I do want to, shout out to see if I can find returns. Silas Bolden had some good punt, 41 yards of punt returns. So he had a solid game, but Michael Kern wasn't great in his return. Did get a couple inside the 20, did get one on the 1. But it's not the difference maker that it was last year.
Yeah. Definitely with the kickoff returns, we got holding penalties. Talking about the punts though, like that one punt, it kind of gave him good field position. It was like, man, but it happens. I know, like I said, you kind of live and die with Silas Bolden. He's going to either make a play or he's going to field the ball that he shouldn't. And he had a fair catch on one. I thought he had space to return. I was like, yo, go. This is the one you want to take. But maybe he's just I don't know, high risk, high reward type of guy in the return. I think that there's something else they can work on during the bye week, though. Make special teams really focus. And I'm not really sure. Do they have a bunch of like first string starters on the special teams like they had in the past?
I haven't looked at it that closely, but somebody made up Ryan Nelson with a good point. Keelan Robinson, Keaton Crawford aren't on special teams. And it's a lot of those guys. Keelan Robinson is in the NFL right now because of, when you can make person 51, 52, 53 on your roster, that type of player, they're going to find a home. Keaton Crawford is definitely at Nevada right now. Definitely. Of course he is. But that was someone who, for all his struggles at the safety position, was a phenomenal athlete playing on special teams. Jaron Thompson was the same way, like guys who worked, and it is a little bit different this year. So before, one quick thing from Paxton: how many points off turnovers has Texas scored in the past 2 games? 7, and that was against Georgia. So Texas was not able to get anything from the turnovers That's tough. You can't be having that. Before we keep going, got to give some love to our sponsor, and that is Andre the Lawyer.
This video is brought to you by Andre the Lawyer. If you're injured, trust the team that secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans with their injury case. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, and wrongful deaths. Don't let insurance tell you what your claim is worth. Hire Andre the Lawyer to fight for you. Principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait and call Andre the Lawyer today at 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. The contact information is in the description.
Appreciate Andre. And, anything else on offense? I feel like I think we do a pretty proper job of assessing where Quinn has been good and bad without beating him down. Same with the O-line, but a lot of it's penalties, and trying to think of anything else on offense that we need to hit.
I think we were solid. It's good to see make guys miss in space again. I know Georgia did a good job with tackling in space, but it was good. Those guys kind of get some confidence back, putting some jukes on some guys, putting guys down. I love to see that, especially from Jaden Blue, who we want to see progress and continue to get better because he's needed. So, overall, without the self-inflicted penalties, I think the offense, really bounced back. To me, they did.
Sack adjusted rushing total, if you get rid of Quinn's sacks, 133 yards on the ground for Texas, which – and the other thing I thought was, you really have to take note of, Vanderbilt leads the SEC, I think, in time of possession. Texas had the ball for 31 minutes. Like, they won the time of possession battle. They beat Vanderbilt kind of at their own game. Again, it's just going back to points off turnovers, and Jalen Gilbo had that rough angle to start things off, and Pavia found the end zone. I don't know how that pass got through 5 people to find Cheryl, but it did. Other than that, like, this Texas defense really, really played a strong game, and I think that's where we want to go. Lole, Collins, Sorrell, all were excellent. Longhorns have a nasty defensive front. Vandy had 26 designed runs for 91 yards. Did not know that. Great stat right there. I thought we probably, in something that this doesn't mention, I think we got Jermaine Lole's best game at Texas. We definitely got Trey Moore's best game.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Trey Moore, somebody I wrote about this morning, man. He was making plays. I think this type of game, you probably wouldn't expect for him coming into Texas because he's known as a pass rusher. But, man, that guy can play the run. He's very fundamentally sound and playing an edge position. So he does a lot of things right. I think it showed up this game more than it has in other games. And so it's a guy we should definitely put some respect on his name because he balled out yesterday. I thought he was going to get an interception on the option, man. I thought he got to pick it off and walk into the end zone, but fell through his hands.
That is a tough spot because very often that player at that position is the guy being optioned.
Yep.
And Trey Moore did it really, really well yesterday. I think Alfred Collins played pretty well. I'm trying to go through the defensive stat sheet. I was wrong about Anthony Hill hitting the over on 10.5 tackles. Did not do that. Had 8. Did have a pass breakup. Did have 2 hurries. But here, I should probably pull up the stats. That may make everything a lot easier.
Justin won that one. I picked over 10 too.
I know, yeah. And I thought like it would be the result of him just being able to be around the ball. But when they only run however many plays they ran, it makes it tough. Here we go. All right, let me get the defense up. Let me get this blown up.
There we go.
That's about as big as it'll get. Anthony Hill right there, 8 tackles, 5 solo. Jelani McDonald, man, he stepped up big time, and we've seen him utilized as that big nickel, that safety. He did the job yesterday.
Yeah, I think it's something we kind of talked about because we knew he was going to be starting and playing, and he showed up and he showed out. One thing I love is I want to say he picked up a guy and body slammed, right? He hit him backwards and he's kind of suplexed him. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, this guy has an edge to him, and I love it. And so he showed up and showed out yesterday, showed his ability to come down the hill and really smack people. I think he showed in Oklahoma that he's not afraid of contact. And man, yesterday we needed him in a big way. He showed up.
Another guy who's down here, and we probably need to figure out why he played as much as he did. But Kobe Black, the Connolly Cadets had a big day yesterday. But Kobe Black had that pick 6 wiped off. I think that was the right call if I'm remembering things right. But he played well. He had a hugely pivotal pass breakup. And you wrote yesterday about maybe guys who need to step in the spots. And I'm curious if you would consider maybe Kobe Black for that Jalen Gilbo role.
Kobe has a size and athletic ability to play both. That guy, that's a tough spot playing the star position because you picked on so much, especially with the RPO game now. But Kobe Black can actually play it. I think he's big enough to come up and contain and set the edge versus the run. We saw he can cover yesterday. He has long range and some speed. And so he could fit as that star/third linebacker on the field. And he doesn't have to come off the field either because of his size. So if the team goes 12 personnel, he's big enough to stay on the field, right, and defend the run. But yesterday he showed me that, he's a guy that played through contact. They're trying to put like a little pick around on him, and he got underneath and separated the ball from the receiver. I was like, okay, Kobe. But he got good awareness too, man. A heady player, just another young player who has some intelligence on the field that the moment's not too big for him. And so I thought that was huge. But maybe he could play Gilbo's spot if Gilbo decides to leave.
One other thing, Jedi Barron, 1 pass breakup, 3 tackles.
Yeah.
Hugely important tackle, I think, but teams just don't test him. Mm-mm. They know it's not worth throwing on 7 side of the field.
Yeah, I am starting to see that a lot more, especially when trying deep. They may throw swing passes way or something like that, but other than that, I kind of stay away. That one time they tried to throw those slant, and he just broke it up. You know what I mean? So all right, we're not going back over there again. You know, they try to
No,
go to the
they
other
know
side.
that it's not worth trying. Trying to pull up on a different screen. I got the defensive stats up here. Let me get the full game stats right there. I'm looking at Pro Football Focus, and let's see. Come on, where's Texas? Trying to get the schedule. That's right. I always forget how to really work Pro Football Focus. Okay, Vanderbilt game report on defense. Highest graded player, Kobe Black. Granted, he was only credited for 9 snaps, but made that pass breakup, had that pick 6 that they didn't get to count. Alfred Collins, 83.6. David Benda only saw 14 snaps, 82.1. Baron Sorrell, these are guys above 70, and that's in the good range on Pro Football Focus.
Yeah.
Baron Sorrell, Michael Taft, Jermaine Lole, Bill Norton, Warren Roberson, I guess he got a couple snaps, Ethan Burke, and Jade Barron, all above 70. So they were the lowest graded player was Colin Simmons at 49, and he's a freshman. He is a 5-star, but this was his freshman game for sure.
Definitely. I thought the same thing. I thought some of the things we talked about maybe could get him in trouble as far as kind of rushing upfield or maybe not playing assignment football because most time PFF can kind of give you an assignment, a grade. If they feel like you didn't do the right assignment, they're going to ding you for it. And so, like you said, it's a freshman game, but one he can learn from that, hey, you can't just fly outfield, right? You just can't be Tasmanian devil like I'm going to destroy everything, especially if it's a team, an option team who wants to read you. But overall, just a learning experience, man. He's been great this season. Just a learning experience that every freshman goes through.
Leona LaFau, also someone who, that late interception, real important. Kind of a quiet game until it wasn't, until he had that interception. But this is the type of defense or offense where your linebackers, if they are not doing the right thing, they'll get exposed. Didn't happen yesterday, it feels like.
No, it didn't. And I don't really think them not being able to get the running game going, Vanderbilt not getting the running game going, all the option stuff really wasn't working. We knew Paville, you could kind of tell he started to pull the ball more. Like he wasn't even reading anymore. He was just straight pulling the ball and running himself. Then once he had the knee injury, he definitely wasn't the same anymore. I thought they were going to stick with Nate Johnson, but I saw them try to pass the ball more than I have seen them just on film, trying to really drop back and throw the ball, which I did not expect to see. And so, I think we took him out of the game plan.
Yeah. And, I think Justin's about to post those Pro Football Focus grades over on Inside Texas. So go check that out. Want to get to some more. Who replaces 45? That's Vernon Broughton. Man, I think he saw him, number 99, Jermaine Lole, and Bill Norton will probably get some more run. But again, Lole probably had his best game in a Texas uniform. They needed it. They needed it from him, and they needed someone to make sure that they were able to shore things up against a tough running game. Trying to think, does Texas not have any sacks? Does that what do you think when you hear that stat?
I wouldn't expect him any sacks versus an option team because they don't drop back and pass the ball much. We did get pressure on him, and sometimes he was able to kind of escape and get rid of the ball, or get a yard or made him lose a yard when he took off scrambling. But not having any sacks versus Vanderbilt, I'm not really concerned about just because the type of offense they are. I didn't expect us to have a full-on pass rush, a guy anyway who's running option most of the time. So. We got enough pressure on him to affect the throws, and it turned over to a couple of interceptions, some tip balls, and things like that. So I'm okay with that, not having any sacks. We did our job and quite well yesterday.
I'm looking through this. Vanderbilt had 62 plays, 31 passes, 31 runs. So they were able to play with balance, but that's a reason that can affect what the pass rush is able to do. And they had no intention of making Pavia read things in the pocket and forcing that defensive line to make sure, forcing that offensive line to block. Ryan Nelson, another good one. This Florida game is big for this team. Texas gets a bye to prepare, and Florida has to play Georgia before. Perfect spot for us if we don't come out and control this game. This is bad. Florida's looking a little bit more competent, but I'm with you. Like, there is, at worst, the Florida game probably needs to look like this Vanderbilt game. Fair?
That's fair. That's fair. I think Lagway is going to be about the same as Sevilla, trying to run and use his legs, right? I'll be curious to see if he can throw the ball downfield. I mean, I think he has a strong arm, but we'll see. But yeah, coming off a Georgia game, they're going to be spent. They're going to get beat up a ton, and so us having a bye week to prepare for Florida or other teams down the road, man, I think it's very, very beneficial for us. But I agree with you. It needs to look like the Vanderbilt game without the penalty.
We're at worst. I feel like so. Yeah. Florida's playing. They're playing better, but they've got some guys. That D line's pretty good, but I don't think they don't have very dynamic receivers or dynamic defensive backs, which is crazy for Florida. Here's an interesting one. Booger McFarland talked about it last night. A mobile quarterback is the ultimate chess piece in college football. Who was the last non-mobile quarterback to win a national title? Burrow. He had a super team. And I saw y'all were talking in the comments. Y'all brought up Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Let's see. Stetson Bennett was pretty mobile, but they didn't do a ton with him.
Right.
McCarthy was definitely a really good athlete.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and I think this is a big issue that Sark kind of has to work around at this juncture. Sark doesn't like running the quarterback because his offense believes in those downfield throws. But that offense isn't throwing downfield right now.
Yeah.
Like, it is a weird spot to be in the middle of for Sark right now. And I understand the idea of I don't want to run my guy 15 times a game because when I'm trying to pass it down field 10 times a game, I need those throws to be accurate. But he's not getting either right now. And it's tough. And it's not like he's going to run Arch 10 to 15 times a game if he goes in.
Right.
But that we see that's there. His offense is just like, what's the right way to say it? Very okay at a lot of things. and like, again, some of these, I use the word champagne problems on here. I don't think these are champagne problems. Like, this is 27 points, 392 yards. You almost get 300. You almost get 104. Yet you only win by 3. Like,
yeah,
the offense seems to be in a weird middle where they can't use all their strengths.
I agree. And having a mobile quarterback, it does help. It can get you out of trouble, especially with some of those RPO reads. Like, Quentin has space because they're just crashing down. It's like, oh, you wish you could just pull one or two like that. Those are huge plays that I think we're missing opportunity on. But I mean, Sark believes in the scheme, believes in his offense. The man wants what he wants. I know it's kind of tough because coaches can kind of be stubborn too, if I'm gonna be honest, and they have it drawn up a certain way. But I think there's going to come a point in time where you have a guy as a signal caller who can go off script and like, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna go make a play. I'll take you fussing at me, but I made a play. So how mad can you really be? And I don't think Quinn's definitely not going to pull right now. I mean, he's still healing up, getting better each week to week, but you like to see him pull it a few times, just once or twice to keep the defense honest. I think that'll help with the running. Picking an extra guy out of the box in the running game, it can help the run game. So it does a lot when you got a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, and again, like, it papers over a lot of other problems. Like, if you have a mobile quarterback, well, if your offensive line can't block, okay, he scrambled. Wow, great, 5 yards. But still, like, at the same time, it's not one of those things. You still have blocking issues. Whereas we all felt the brunt of it last year. If you have a quarterback who's not super mobile, but can just sit in the pocket and dissect defenses like Michael Penix did, that's a lot more valuable than a mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's the ideal. But Texas is not getting the ideal right now. That's the long and short of it. So good comment there from UT Parking. Going through some other questions. With the increase in scholarship numbers, do you think saving a spot for special teams ace is a wise move? I don't think they're waiting on the increase in scholarship numbers. They do this already.
Yeah. Definitely. You're always trying to find a guy that's a special teams ace on the team. I think, I guess the thought would have been Warren Robeson this year, especially like being a gunner or something like that. But teams are always looking for a special teams ace. They're not waiting for scholarship numbers to increase because special teams is so important that you need those guys.
At this point, let's see. They've got 1, 2, 3. They got 4 scholarship specialists, deep snapper, kicker, punter.
Right.
And I'm trying to think, but they don't have that Keelan Robinson type guy. I mean, Silas Bolden, but he doesn't – a different game.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's something where they're waiting on anybody. Like they already know that they already use special teams to be very effective or ideally.
Yeah.
So, a lot of different things but they don't have the Brennan Schooler, the Keelan Robinson, Keaton Crawford this year. I think that's very obvious. Coach, we're going into a second bye week. Happens, if the calendar lines up a certain way, there's a lot of leeway with buys.
Yeah.
What do you think Texas really needs to focus on entering this bye? Quarterback, okay, talk about it. But where else does Texas really need to shift some attention during the bye week?
Yeah, I definitely would go with just cleaning up some of the looks that the offensive line has gotten over the past few weeks with blitzes and kind of working through those. Special teams would be one, and defensively, just not they've been playing great, but there's always things you probably can find on film to say, hey, we need to clean this up because maybe a team can attack us this way or whatever the case, right? You always want to prepare for what you may see down the road. But this week, watch a ton of film on yourself, do a lot of self-evaluation, and see how well you're playing and be honest with yourself. But other than that, it's really just the offensive line going through a bunch of looks. Try to work on the running game, going vertical. But other than that, I would say special teams would be the biggest just because with field position and things like that, it can be a momentum.
I'm trying to see
increase momentum swing.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, what Texas can work on as far as their own stuff, but what, is also available when you think of Florida on the horizon. Trying to look. I mean, Florida, 4-3, 2-2 in the SEC. They were off. Yeah. They got to face Georgia this week. Making the switch to Graham Mertz, making the switch from Graham Mertz to DJ Lagway. Trying to see what their offense and defense looks like. But some of the comments we got: running backs need to work on pass pro. Hey, I don't know what happened with that slide, whether it was Hayden Connor messing up or Jaden Blue messing up, but somebody messed up. People want to talk about DBs and PIs. One was on tap. It was obvious.
Right.
I'm trying to think of. I can't remember what happened on the one that undid the penalty.
I know one was on. They got on Manny. They tried to say he got his head around late, but I thought he got his head around in time to play the ball, but they still called it on him. So it was
I thought that was football. I didn't think it was a penalty. It was physical and it was a lot of contact, but felt like it was that. Somebody made the comment, can't find it, the right side of the line. I think Campbell had a better game, but Cam Williams is still he's given up penalties. And he's been giving up penalties all year. And I get that you're the least experienced guy on this line, but at the same time, you got to get that going for this team.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks. I think somebody asked the question in pregame. do you make a change? I was like, look, the bye week is the bye week for a reason. I'm glad we got it right now. All right, Cam, here's something you can fix. Let's look yourself in the mirror and let's just go to work on getting better. Maybe they can work on some snap count things. I don't know if he's just trying to get out of his stance so quick because he's worried about the speed guy beating him or what it is, but it's things definitely need to be fixed.
That feels like it should be a trust your training type thing.
Yeah.
Like and he's good enough to trust his training, take care of things, and not have to worry about that. And the thing is like once he gets his hands on him, he's fine. I even when those first round mocks were coming out, I was like, are we sure about this? And I think we're seeing that no, he's not a first round pick, but there's a lot of potential there. You just got to clean up the penalties. Let's see. Sark ran ISO last year with Murphy at fullback. Why won't he come back to it? We need to be more physical against interior teams like Vanderbilt. All right, who are you putting there? Because didn't Murphy play some running back when he was growing up or said something?
Yeah, he did. Yep, he did. He talked about that. Yeah, he played running back growing up. He was running back for a defensive lineman. So I know everybody wants to see that. Run ISO or putting a big guy back there. But, yeah, who are you putting there? That's a good question. Who are you going to put there?
And, we talk about using roster spots for certain roles. They usually try to find someone to put into fullback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who that is on this team. And I don't know who it is on next year's team. You kind of think Amari Winston could do it, but he's probably not going to be doing it next year.
Right.
So kind of curious. But as we saw and as Quinn's stat line shows, like their best offense is quick passing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tough in the red zone. But they made it work for Matthew Golden. They made it work for DeAndre Moore twice. Like,
yeah,
I know that it's like just run the ball over, and I get that. But like the best offense they have right now is quick passing, 10 to 15 yards and in.
Yeah,
if they're able to do that, then that works. And even looking at the red zone, what were they? They were 3 for 3 scoring. One of them ended in a field goal, obviously, because there was that penalty. But they're still really good in the red zone percentage.
They are.
They're still, doing things right there, and that's even without having some big mauling bruiser wearing number 90 running over you and catching passes. You guys are starting to begin to sound like Tennessee fans constantly complaining about the referees. I've talked to some A&M friends. I'm sure you kind of have too, and they said like, y'all think the Big 12 has poor quality officiating? It's like you're going to yell at the referees no matter what conference you're in,
right?
But if you play 10 penalties, or if you have 10 penalties, some of that's on you. Not
True.
all of it, but if you're doing that, they're probably finding stuff and justifiably finding stuff to call.
Right. And every opposing coach, every coach does this. They meet with the referees. Hey, watch out for these things. Texas has did this in all these games. Can you look out for it? Pay extra attention to it, right? And so now the referee's actually looking for that. And I think a lot of that may have happened yesterday. So you just never know.
Kind of look through the rest of the stat sheet to see if there's anything big. Let's see. I still just keep going back to that time of possession one. If the fact that they were able to keep a keep away team from doing that was a quality win. And again, we look at the turnovers. Like without those 2 turnovers on tip passes, which Quinn needs to fix, different game, way different game. And I think you've seen it. Parker Stats of War, he posts that did we really beat that bad graph, and I think it shows like expected points or something like that. This game is going to be a 3-point margin on the scoreboard, but you're going to see Texas way above Vanderbilt on that. Did we really get beat that bad graph? So it'll be a lot different. And then Paxton brings up a football field worth of penalties. You know, when you think of it that way, Texas had 392 total yards. You give them that football field, that's 292 total yards. That's not what you're looking for.
No, not at all, man. Good Lord.
I'm trying to think of some other stuff. You know, whenever I call my friends here or on the way back or something like that, we kind of just have a who had a good game. We just play.
Yeah.
Who do you think played well? Like we just leave it at that. And is there anybody who really comes to mind for hey, here's one that comes to mind right here. He had a good game. Kind of thinking who else, and thank you for joining us again. But you know, keep it simple. Who had a good game?
I'm gonna go Michael Tech. The guy always just seems to be in the right place at the right time. Helped cause the fumble, got the interception. Like he shut him down in the red zone, 1-on-1 in the end zone. Like Tech shows up like week in and week out. I felt like he had a good game. Getting guys lined up, like just he's everywhere, man. 16 is just everywhere, always making plays. I thought he had a really good game yesterday.
I think so. Rewarded with the pick. Had to also, make sure that Jelani McDonald was in the right place at the right time. Some responsibilities there. Paxton brings it up in the chat. Trey Moore. We talked about him.
Yeah.
We both Moores. DeAndre had a great game. Was the most often targeted receiver. 8 targets, got 6 catches, 97 yards, and 2 touchdowns out of that. Trying to think of how to phrase this. I think the running backs did good. They weren't phenomenal, but still got over 4.5 yards of carry on both. Jaden Blue did some good stuff, running the ball after not even getting a carry last week. Wisner still patient. None of these guys are physically impressive. I will give Blue his speed, but still to get sack adjusted rush total 133 yards on the ground, take advantage of 34 opportunities. I think the running backs did pretty well.
Yeah. I kind of wrote about that. I thought they did a nice job. I know they bounced some balls outside, some they shouldn't have bounced outside, but for the most part, they did well. And I thought Sark trusted them to kind of end the game. On 2 of those third longs, they kind of ran a counter or a power, and when they went and got the first down, and plus more, I was like, okay, that's a curveball. That's a change up. I was not expecting that. I don't think Vanderbilt was either, but they were able to run the ball from and get a first down. So I thought that was huge.
Gunnar Helm also. Who probably didn't play well, and I'm still a little surprised that he was out there as much as he did. Amari Niblack struggled, and I think that was revealing in why Juan Davis gets those snaps. And credit to him for earning his place on the field, but I think yesterday was a little indicative of why he is still a work in progress.
Yeah, I thought Sark tried to get involved.
Yeah. Contribution to getting Joe a quieter keyboard. Hey, the mic's right here. It's facing here. Got it tight, but I appreciate the super chat. We'll get that moving forward. Somebody that we haven't talked about and who didn't play, obviously, was Andrew Makuba. Texas will want to get him back. I think when you're facing someone like DJ Lagway, who's like, I'm going to throw it downfield, you need the coverage. But against run-oriented teams, start Jelani, and against good pass offenses, start Makuba. I mean, you need to be able to do both.
Yeah.
But they figured out creative ways to put Jelani McDonald in the game before yesterday.
Yep, they have. He's been playing a lot. I know he's out a few games due to injury, but for the most part, they've been mixing and matching him a lot. Even against Oklahoma, he played majority of the snaps, right? So I think those guys can do both. I think that's why they kind of split the reps there, because they're able to do both. Defend the pass and come up and hit you in the run game.
And it's not easy for him. I give him a lot of credit because played quarterback in high school,
Mm-hmm.
Best athlete on the field.
Yep.
Was recruited as a linebacker. And I think they kind of told him, like, hey, we're going to put you at safety for recruiting purposes so they could tell the next class, like, no, we didn't take 4. He's a defensive back. And then it turns out that way, that he starts to, make all these different plays in the defensive backfield. He's recognizing things. He still comes downhill. He's a guy who you can tell plays football and enjoys playing football, and Texas got a needed game from him, got the most from it. Trying to see if there's anything else. Huff Tech's agreeing with us spot on about Jelani. It's going to be a problem for offenses soon. He's one of those guys who just has athleticism, and now he's just matching the football ability with it, and it's fun to see.
Yeah, he's going to skyrocket the next couple of years.
Yeah, he may be. Think you're going to lose Makuba.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is going? I mean, safety's going to have some pretty interesting competition over the next couple of years. It should be a lot of fun to watch. So I think with that, 45 minutes on the clock, we're going to get out of here and enjoy our Sunday. Make sure you like this video. Thank you for enjoying your Sunday with us. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you're on podcast, give us a rating and a review. We appreciate everybody listening in whatever form they can. Make sure you head to InsideTexas.com, sign up, get all the bye week intel. We're going to be big on recruiting this upcoming week. So make sure you get all the information, as the end of the 2025 class is just over a month away. So, Charlie, thank you so much. We'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.